Hey, how do you get clients as a therapy practice owner in a saturated market? I think we all can tell that to some degree the industry is continuing to grow, shift, and change. And we're really going to be unpacking like 16 core realities of a changing marketplace. So when we think about this process, your solo practice, your group practice, there's layers in here that you need to be aware about that will carry forward as this industry continues to grow and change. And having these on your side will mean that you can ride this inflection point successfully into profit and into growth and into the practice success that you want. Not understanding these, being unaware of these, will sort of push you under and push you out in a crowded and competitive marketplace. That being said, let's dive in.
Yeah. In this new phase, guys, there's going to be people who succeed and thrive, and there's going to be people who don't succeed and really struggle. They're going to have a hard time of it. And I think the two types of practice owners that live here are the ones who decide that they will succeed in spite of the saturation. And then there's going to be the ones who decide that they will fail because of the saturation. And I think if you're watching this video, you probably want to succeed in spite of. And so, what are the actions that you have to align yourself with in order to find that success? And now, there's some really, really cool positive angles to this, right? About 56 million Americans looked for and got mental health services last year. That is 16% of the US population. It was 9% in 2000 and 11% in 2010. And just to add extra icing on the cake, guys, there's only about 200,000 licensed therapists and about 81,000 psychologists practicing in the US. There is a massive discrepancy in how many clinicians there are and how many clients there are. So there's just a ton of clients out there. It's just about who's collecting them, who's getting them,
Yeah.
who's putting out the net in the stream of water and collecting the fish as they're going by you. And so
Yeah.
some practices are going to do this great. Some practices aren't going to do this great. The first truth has to be clients don't buy therapy because they love it. Josh, what do you got to say about that?
I mean, bottom line, when you think about this still disproportionate matchup of how many licensed providers there are to how many people both seeking or could receive mental health services, it's because people aren't trying to purchase therapy from a clinician. There's a little bit in certain areas, like a badge of honor of like, I'm in therapy, right? But most people seek therapy because they are trying to fix something in their life. And it's gotten to a pain threshold enough that they're willing to spend time and or money to fix it. And often, and you as a clinician know this, often when a patient's pain diminishes enough, right? When enough things have gone a little bit correctly in their life, even after maybe they've sought therapy, they'll exit therapy even if the work isn't done because they're not there to purchase therapy. They're there to solve problems and receive relief from whatever it is going on in their marriage, their family, their kids, their anxiety, some of those pieces. And so I think sometimes when, oh man, people really want this product, right? People really want therapy flow. People really want to watch this YouTube video. No, people don't want to do those things. They want solutions to their problems. They want to learn something. They want to grow. They want to seek therapy because that's an understood solution. So the better you can communicate the outcomes your clients get, why they get them, who you help, how you help, the experience of your team, the experience of your product, those are the things that will create better buyers than just saying, hey, purchase therapy from us, because you're going to get pushed out of that as far as perspective and marketing goes very quickly.
Yeah. Private practice being competitive is not a bad thing. Competition means that there is money to be had in the space. Competition means that there's cool, new, innovative approaches occurring. Competition means that there's new options for the client base. And it means that if like competition is just going to breed a lot of really good new ways at approaching some same old problems. And so competition is a really great thing if you think of it like that. So when we're considering competition now, someone is going to get those clients, and it
Yeah.
just might not be you. I think has to be the core truth number two is like competition is good, right? We need to switch this thought process. Competition is good. It means that it's kind of like the enemies in the video games. It's like when you're going towards the enemies, you're probably going in the right direction. And so competition is good. Competition is going to breed new innovation. Competition is going to breed uh, a higher likelihood of success, not just for you and your practice, but for those who overcome the competition and those who um, see it as a good thing. They're going to find new, better ways to improve private practice as a whole, which is
Yeah.
really, really awesome.
And you're going to see evolutions and new trends and pieces unfold at a faster rate because of this competition than was previously happening, which brings us to core reality number three, which is visibility is a necessity. If clients don't know that you exist, you don't. So it's no longer where vague posting profiles, Google My Business, like there's just this reality where the existence of you in and of itself does not drive typically the volume of pieces, the volume of therapy clients, the volume of exposure that it did 5 or 10 years ago in some of these pieces.
Yeah. As you're looking for visibility, guys, I think we have to remember that competition means and stability in a competitive environment means that we need to work with a much larger number of people.
Yeah.
Working with a larger number of people creates stability. So finding new ways to increase that visibility, finding new ways to capture visibility and turn them into new people that you might work with is going to be where you succeed. And one of those big areas is just working on and building and having a website. If you had asked me 4 or 5 years ago, I would have told you you could have built $1 million practice without a website because we did that and we knew a lot of people who did the same thing. However, now websites are so integral, not only as like a place where people can go to search or for you to put on a business card, but they're also appearing in places like AI. And so when, Johnny is chatting with ChatGPT about his mental health issues and ChatGPT gives him a recommendation to go see a therapist, that's an opportunity for you to get someone who is actively looking for help on a new platform. And all of this kind of ties together uh, and works and exists in a digital world, in a digital landscape. And so having a website to boost that visibility is massive.
Yeah, definitely. And bottom line, like website traffic is a core requirement within that. And that just is like a subsection or sort of a point for that reality of you have to seek it out and build it out. Number five is you must differentiate in a crowded market. If your market is crowded, you have to stand out because you're no longer the only person there. And so I'd say like 5 years ago, a big differentiator in a crowded marketplace was just the quality of your website. Hey, did it look better? Did it look smoother? Did it load faster? Did you have more content on it? But with the evolution of easy builders and Squarespace and cheap designers and AI content, the ease to just launch a pretty looking website is easier. And so now if you want to differentiate from that, now we're looking at better quality video content, better quality sales copy, more trust content statements, lead magnets. There's a whole host of things to differentiate yourself in a crowded marketplace. This can even look like your physical space, right? Is it kind of a sad therapy room, office that you're renting, or right when people step into your space, do you have an elevated therapeutic experience? Tons of ways to differentiate virtually, digitally, market wise, space wise. But all to say is you have to find something to carve out and push into that.
Yeah. Core truth number six is going to be make the most out of your niche specialties. And this is just kind of like building on this differentiation. If you don't know how you're different from someone else, you're not. And so, from the eyes of the consumer, they won't know how or why you do things different, and they don't know how or why they may be able to get results from you in a different capacity. And so you need to educate yourself and educate your team on what makes you different. Just having a different clinician with the same modality, same, like, just having a different name there doesn't necessarily equate different and in a successful way.
Yeah.
So make sure that as we're differentiating ourselves and as we're niching down, that we're leveraging the power of these two factors. When you niche down, what's really cool is it allows you to focus and concentrate your marketing and advertising efforts on one thing. And this niching down process allows you to maybe go a little bit deeper on that one pathway, have similar conversations, and build a great system for that one niche, and then build a small team around that niche. So scale up just a little bit, build a small team around it, and then you can, spread your wings. Then you can kind of go into different directions after you've built that core niched group. It's going to do miracles for your internal referrals. It's going to do miracles for your ad dollars and getting the visibility that we were talking about earlier. And so
Yeah.
make the most out of this differentiation process, make the most out of this niching process. Like, what is the leverage opportunity that you get from niching down and building marketing around a niche when you're first getting started? And how can you be a little bit more modular to cater for the market?
100%. When we approach reality number 7, you must, in this environment, learn from other people, but especially big box platforms. You have to ask yourself, especially if you're a smaller person and there's a lot of hate, maybe even appropriately, for certain things that happen in the marketplace right now, without going too deep into anyone's specific pile of stuff. They're doing some elements correct from one version or another, from a marketing or an intake or an ease of access or whatever it is. And you just have to ask yourself, why is that part of their business more successful than mine? Right. And it's not just about how much budget they have, it's how they're spending their budget or what strategies they're using, and then the execution, right, of some of those layers. And so you just have to learn from big box platforms. And it goes both directions. You can see what they're doing. Hey, they're going left. That means I can go right. Community networking workshops and impact is a great example. If it's a big nationwide online platform, they are not building in to a localized community or city with partnerships or events or community-driven care physicians or hospital systems. They aren't doing that work. You can, right? That's a big opportunity for you to go right, because it's just not available in the direction that they're going to scale their business. But then you can also say, hey, what can I learn from and repeat here? Hey, what type of questions, what type of book process, what type of speed, where are they spending marketing dollars? And say, hey, can I do that too? If it's working for them, probably will work for me if done correctly.
Yeah. Speaking about working for them and maybe working for you, let's talk a little bit about directories. These are kind of the tried and true, like the staple, we'll call it, for marketing in the therapy space, especially for solo clinicians, but also groups. So
Yeah.
in these directories, what's really cool about them is that they're really, really cheap, like $30 a month, maybe, plus or minus $60 in either direction. So these directories are really, really cool that they can get you out there in a place where people are looking for therapists, which is always fun and very useful. But the hard thing about directories is that you don't own it. You don't get to tell them how much you want to be shown. And you also don't own the result that happens, which means that if, maybe you're shown consistently high in their search results, maybe for a few months, 6 months, a year, 2 years. But then something changes. Maybe 2 or 3 other people get added in your area that just supersede you for some reason. The algorithm, it's not democratic, really. It's not just gonna look and see who's getting more, who's getting less, and then just kind of evenly distribute. That's not how they're designed, and that's not how they work. And so you don't know if they're going to prefer you or not prefer you. And I'd say maybe about 20% of the time, people have like a good time on directory sites. And then maybe like 60% of the time, people have like I guess it's worth it. Like maybe it's not worth it. I don't know, but it's just cheap enough that it doesn't really make a difference to turn it off. And then the last percentages are like, this isn't working. They stick around for a few months, or they just
Yeah.
feel guilted into the marketplace and stick with it. So directories are going to wax and wane. So I think it's important for you to really understand the hows and the whys of marketing. And I'll kind of move into the next point with this one, but you also have to know when to diversify and change your marketing.
Yeah. There's kind of three reasons why you would diversify your marketing channels. Number one is risk mitigation. So if you rely too heavily, let's say Psych Today is working for you, well, one day it might not be. I talk to practice owners every day. They're like, well, it just stopped working. And we're like, cool, great that it was. We probably should have had other marketing going for us
Yeah.
too, given your size, your revenue, or whatever else. Number two is maybe you want to reach a new audience that your current channel isn't getting you or isn't reaching you as well as you would hope. And so, a good example is, hey, you're on Psych Today. That's digital traffic. But if you, invest a lot of money into really nice signage or a imprint mail campaign for your community, that's an exact opposite strategy, essentially, of people that you might reach that won't be in the other channel and could be in a different channel on an audience level. And then lastly is maybe it's you move into a new channel to tap into like low hanging fruit or quick momentum in an untapped area. So for instance, marketing spend sort of fatigues the larger you do it or the more work you do it, or a different way to say it is there's sort of diminishing returns sometimes the larger you get. And so moving into something secondary or third, both will diversify your marketing, but then you kind of get those quick gains in that new channel. So let's say you invested tons into search engine optimization, but you haven't spent anything in Google Ads yet. Well, if you spend even just a couple $100 a month in Google Ads, hey, you immediately might get that quick boost because you've got some keyword data that worked well and some crossover there. Great reasons to diversify your marketing. But on the flip side, we very often see the mistake of a practice owner saying, hey, here's my limited time. Here's my limited money. Here's my limited staff. And I'm going to try and do all 5 things all at the same time. And nothing reaches a critical mass. And we want to avoid that.
Core truth number 10, guys, is going to be compete in saturated markets. So go out there and actually do the competition. And to do that, there's really 3 main paths to success here. First of all, almost all of them require some form of marketing change. Many of them don't really require like a product change per se, but you may just have to change the language or the describers or maybe how it is that you're presenting yourself in
Yeah.
your intake calls or on your on the language that you're using inside of your websites or your other pages. And so where you can kind of hone in on might be your offer. This is something unique that maybe other practices don't have or don't do or wouldn't say. I don't necessarily mean that you need to offer like a discount or like offer some kind of new session or change how your intake process works. That's not exactly what I'm talking about here. You can really just take the same item, change the box, and represent it to the marketplace and make it look new or different.
A great
Just based on
example
how
of
you
this, to
explain.
touch on this, it just came up in one of our coaching calls, is male counselors, based off of what we've seen in some practices, will fill up easier at first when you first bring them on if you offer evening and weekend sessions. That's a big differentiator. If all the other practices in your area don't have evening sessions and weekend sessions or the volume enough to meet that supply and that demand, that is a unique differentiator without changing the therapy, the provider, anything else requires a shift. Huge competitive advantage, though.
Yeah. Next would be increase your volume on your marketing efforts. So whatever you're doing, double it, right? Double it. And if you can't double it, so like a Psychology Today, you can't double it unless you maybe just make a new profile for the same person, which maybe you can. I don't know if it'll be verified. I don't know how that works with Psych Today, but just double what you can, right? And if you
Yeah.
can't double it, then it probably is telling you that you're probably not in the right spot. And so, how can you do different things? How can you spend more money? How can you change the activities that you're doing so that you can double it, whether it's doubling the efficiency or just brass knuckles, double the amount of work that you're doing or double the amount of dollars? That's going to be a great way to start pushing in, leaning in, and competing, especially if you have a system with data to support the fact that it's working, right? So
Yeah.
if you have a system, you know the thing's working, it's very low risk to increase how much money you're spending or increase how much time you're putting in or effort or energy, right?
Yeah.
And then the final one is just going to be improve the quality of what you're already doing. So take a snapshot of what you're doing, maybe look at a month or 3-month window of exercise of work that you've done. Once you've got that snapshot, say these are the things we're going to improve, and then take another snapshot after 3 months to see if it's improved. And the
Yeah.
quality of things that we're looking for here could just be the difference between editing those videos, having a professional editor come in and edit those videos, or take some time and have a graphic designer make some improvements on your website, or whatever it
Right.
is that's a high leverage opportunity for your practice. So you've got numbers rolling through there already, and you could say, hey, if we improve this by 1 or 5 or 10% of what it's already doing, it would make a massive difference to the bottom line of the business. Then that's where you should focus your quality efforts.
100%. We'll run through the next couple pretty quickly because they're very straightforward. And reality number 11 is networking compounds. It typically requires some level of long-term relational engagement and building if you want to build a network that money can't buy. That's what Google ads are for and investing in SEO is for, but you'll never go wrong with it. And you should always do it for your business and your practice. Someone on your team should if you aren't. And then number 12 is study other healthcare industries or niches like dental and chiropractic and other places in that realm, because many of those have already evolved to being a very competitive market, and they have found a way to have success, to run cash pay services, to bill insurance for certain things. And they've been through this journey that mental health is going through right now. And if they've A, figured it out, you can too. And B, you can also say, hey, what are they doing there that's different than what we're doing? And can I beg, borrow, steal from it essentially for some of those things? And then within that, you just have to, if you are an insurance practice, this is number 13, you just have to understand the realities of insurance as a bottleneck and as an advantage. Your reimbursement rates aren't going to change substantially anytime soon. And so if you know that, you can plan your other business goals around that to your advantage, right? If your price can't increase, the volume of providers you have to have an increase, or the volume of sessions you want one client to have has to increase, or other core changes to make it a worthwhile business model. And you focus on those elements that you can control rather than the reimbursement rate that you can't control.
Yeah. Number 14 is going to be build a moat around your practice. This is insulation. This is creating strategic advantages for yourself. Usually this comes in the form of intellectual property. This can be in the form of content that you're creating. This can be in the form of the collaboration items that you have in place, meaning what staff do you have on your team? And so how can you insulate yourself? By creating a strategic advantage.
Yeah.
Be the power source for your practice is going to be number 15. You're the only you that exists. And if you're ambitious, if you have a lot of energy, or if you just lead in a way that's maybe a little bit different, that's going to be a really big power source and driver for your business. And so don't be afraid to be you in your business and to really take charge and put in energy the way that you'd like to see it return back to you. And then finally,
And yeah, I was just going to say, until you like bring on managers, builders, and doers to contribute that energy, that energy has to come from you. And then that kind of leads us to the final point and the biggest takeaway for especially our group practices.
to just cultivate your team's reputation. So you cannot rebuild reputation. It's a hard rebuild. You can rebuild it, I guess. It's a hard rebuild. But as you're building it, this is a very scalable, brandable item for your practice. And so the
Yeah,
more reputation that you build, the less linear and the more exponential that you become.
100%. We hope this is helpful. Make sure you pull out a couple point or two. Let us know in the comments which one makes the sense for you to focus on going forward here. We'll catch you guys next time.
See you guys.
Cheers.